أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. A commentary on the Quran, Surah number 112, that is Surat At-Tawheed or Al-Ikhlās, which says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Say, He is Allah, one, Allah, the sustainer, needed by all. He has never had offspring, nor was He born, and there is none comparable to Him. I'll start with the circumstances of revelation of this surah as reported in some books of history, that it is narrated that our sixth Imam, Al-Imam As-Sadiq, Salamullahi alayh, said that the Jews at the time asked the Messenger of God, asked the Prophet, Insib lana rabbak, introduce to us your God. And he remained for 3 days not answering, until the revelation came with this surah, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, and so on. Say, He, Allah, is one. It is narrated that a Jewish person asked this question. Other narrations say or suggest that it was from the Christian community that asked the Prophet this question, which also suggests that this surah was revealed in Medina after the immigration from Mecca, because this was where the Jewish and the Christian communities existed. Some narrations suggest that actually, no, it was the mushrikeen of Mecca asked him that question. And when he was talking about God and his God, they would say, introduce to us your God. And so the surah was revealed. And obviously there's not necessarily a clash between these narrations from the outcome that we can learn, that this is an answer to introducing, or this is introducing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, introducing God. The theme of this surah is the oneness of God, the uniqueness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the denial or denying Allah's need of anything, and that everything is in need of God, affirming that, affirming incomparability with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that there's no peer to God, and there's nothing like God. The status of this surah, it is narrated that the Messenger of God sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, أَيَعْجُزُ أَحَدُكُمْ أَن يَقْرَأَ ثُلُثَ الْقُرْآنِ فِي لَيْلَةٍ. Would any one of you be incapable of reciting 1/3 of the Quran every night? And then he was told, O Rasulullah, which one of us is able to do this, finishing the Quran every night? He answered, recite, or finishing 1/3 of the Quran. He said, recite, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, recite that surah. If you recite it, it would be as if you recited 1/3 of the Quran. A narration from our sixth Imam, Salamullahi alayh, that he said that the Messenger of God prayed over Sa'd bin Mu'adh, the Salatul Janazah. And when he did, he said that accompanying Sa'd is 70,000 angels. In between them is Jibreel praying over Sa'd. The narrator said, O Rasulullah, how did Sa'd deserve this honor? The response came by reciting قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, standing and sitting and walking and coming and going, in all situations, reciting this surah. Another narration about the greatness of this surah, that Imam Al-Hussein, Salamullahi alayhi, said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew that in the end of times there will be people who look at depths of things. And so Allah revealed قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. And so Allah revealed also the verses from Surat Al-Hadid, until it says, وَهُوَ عَلِيمٌ بِذَاتِ الصُّدُورِ. Commentary on the surah. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Say, He, Allah, is one, or He is Allah, one. Say, of course, this could possibly mean to tell the Prophet to attest to something, to do a testimony, as if you're telling someone, for example, in a court, some defendant, say that you've done it. Say what you've seen. A testimony. And this is something that was also recommended to say after hearing Tawheed. We say, كَذَلِكَ اللَّهُ رَبِّي. as if we are testifying or attesting or endorsing this testimony. Or if you look at the historical reports that this surah was revealed as an answer to a question that the Prophet was asked, who is your Lord? And then the answer came as, say, answer them that he is so and so. Huwa. So there's some discussion about huwa. Why does Allah say he is Allah, one? Why doesn't God say Allah is one? Why he? There's discussion here. I'll mention very, very briefly. Some opinions suggest that, well, it's an answer to the question, who is he? And therefore the answer is, he is. So this is if you want to take the historical context in here. Another opinion introduced, or let's say developed or presented by the Urafa, the philosophers as well, is that he here refers to a certain status of God, the absent from being grasped, he. For example, if you say, oh God, oh Allah, you are talking to someone that you perceive. You have certain perception about God. You have a certain imagination about God, certain thoughts about God. But are these thoughts and perceptions and imaginations really who God is? In reality, as he knows himself? No. So he, when you say he, you are going to another case now. You're saying, well, he as he is, that I don't know, that I will never be able to grasp, that no creation will ever be able to grasp or reach. That's he. They call it the maqam al-ahadiyya. Anyway, that's a discussion, a detailed discussion there. There's no harm in referring to it. Another thought is that it is really to signify that he is an answer, or it really replaces a phrase that would say, the matter is that he is Allah. Okay? Anyway, that's probably sometimes a linguistic detail. Ahad, qul huwa Allahu ahad. Say, he is Allah, one. One. There might be different meanings of one here, or different perceptions. What does one mean? Generally, there are two types of one that is being discussed here. One meaning that he's not compound, that he's not made of parts. Anything that you can perceive, that you think is made of parts, then you made it limited. The space, the unlimited space, huh? It's made of galaxies and stars and black holes and all these. Once you say that, these are parts. These are parts. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not made of any part. He's truly infinite. So this is Tawheed. He's one. One entity that is indivisible. Cannot be broken to parts so that it would need these parts to form it. And so Allah is not needy of anything, not even parts. Another meaning is, or could be, that he has no equal. He has no likeness. He has no similar. He's one. He's unique. He's one of his kind. If I say this cup is one. This is one. Yes, one. But that's a numerical one. Meaning that there could be two of it. There could be three of it. There could be other things of it. But that's not what we mean by one when we refer to God. When we refer to God as one, we mean one of his kind. No one else is in the league. No one else is like him. Allahu Ahad. Allahu Samad. Allah the Samad. A narration from our fifth Imam, Salamullahi alayhi, that he said, Imam al-Baqir, As-Samad as-Sayyid al-Muta' alladhi laysa fawqahu amrun or amirun wa nah. The Samad is the obeyed master. The one above whom there is no command or control. He's the one who is obeyed, the one who, or whom people look to. Imam Ali Salamullahi alayhi in Nahj al-Balagha, he would say, وَلَا صَمَدَهُ مَنْ أَشَارَ إِلَيْهِ وَتَوَهَّمَهُ. The one who referred to him, the one who points to God, the one who imagines him, did not reach him, did not get him. So Samad is the one that you want to reach, you want to get, you want to go to when you need something. This is Allah as-Samad. As if the verse also wants to say that Allah is the exclusive Samad. Allah is the exclusive. He's exclusively the one who is approached in needs. In essence, it is Allah, nothing else, no one else. Other meanings is that Samad means the firm, the stiff, meaning he's not hollow. Linguistically, Samad means something that is very firm. There's no vacuum inside. From that meaning, another meaning emerged, which is because when you have vacuum, when you're hollow inside, it has to be filled with something. It means there is certain need and weakness. For example, we are hollow in the sense that we need to eat and drink. So the samad means the one who doesn't eat or drink, who doesn't have vacuum or space to be filled by these needs. Because eating and drinking is a deficiency, is a need. You can't be immortal and you would be eating and drinking. We see verses in the Quran so many places. It actually refers to prophets, weak people as what? They eat and drink, meaning that they can't be gods. They can't be eternal, like you're claiming. هو يطعم ولا يطعم. God feeds and is not fed. There's emphasis on this, feeding and being fed. وقالوا ما لهذا الرسول يأكل الطعام ويمشي في الأسواق. Eating and drinking, it is looked at also as if, or as a sign of weakness. How could a prophet, people would exclaim, how could a prophet eat and drink and walk in the markets? Because those people were expecting a prophet should be what? Like angels, should be something that is not similar to us. So this is another meaning of samad. Another meaning of samad is the high, the sublime. You see, all these meanings, they flow into one big meaning, that Allah is the rich, the needyless. He doesn't need anything. Everything needs Him. Everything approaches Him in need. Allahu Samad. Allah is the one that everything approach in need, and He's the sustainer and the giver. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. He has never had offspring, nor was He born. We see here, it appears as if the verse is responding to maybe thoughts and beliefs that God was born, or God gives birth, or God has selected children, or has selected a son. It answers them that never happened. We see in the Quran how in different places it strictly rejects the idea that God has a son, or God has a child, or God, as some claim, adopted the angels as female children of His. Rejecting it outright. Rejecting that Allah even chose a chosen people. Because when you say that He has, or He has offspring, it doesn't necessarily mean that He has natural children like we have natural children. It could mean that God selected someone as a special creation of His, whereby people could attribute deity to Him, or to her, or to it. That's rejected. All the creation of God, including the best of His creation, are mere servants and slaves of God. There should not be any blurring of that line between God and His creation. Everything that God created, everything, shall not be associated with God, or godliness, or godness in any way. Even some people claim that, well, we are the children of God. وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودُ وَالنَّصَارَى نَحْنُ أَبْنَاءُ اللَّهِ وَأَحِبَّاؤُهُ. The verse of the Quran says in Surah 5 verse 18, the Jews and the Christians each say, we are the children of God and His most beloved. The answer comes, say, O Prophet, why then does He punish you for your sins like others? Who do you think you are? Why do you think you are special? You are a mere creation of God like everyone else. لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ. So, emphasizing that there cannot be any deity. Sometimes some people might say, well, this is, a small God. Okay, yes, Allah is the great God, but there is, a small God. Once you start doing this, saying that this is the Son of God, it means that you're establishing a deity or a family of gods. That there is a main God and there are these small ones. You blurred the line between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and whoever else you're claiming to be a God. Even though you say it's a small copy, small miniature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No. Allah is incomparable. And this is where the last verse comes to emphasize this. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. There is none comparable to Him. Never compare anything to Allah. Never compare anything to God. This is why we should always refine our understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should always, whenever we think that there is something similar to God, we say Subhanallah. We exalt Allah from any similarity. Any similarity. There are similarities that might remind us of God, yes. But to say that God is this or God is like this, no. God is far more exalted beyond any description. Because any description that we say is weakness. And Allah is far above that. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, that He may help us understand the true Tawheed, and inshallah fill our hearts with the Tawheed, the oneness of Him. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Salawat.